Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? For Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
Suspense. Radio's outstanding theater of thrills brings you an hour, a full 60 minutes of suspense. Tonight, Crossfire. Our stars, Robert Young, Robert Mitchum, Robert Ryan, and Sam Levine, with George Cooper and William Phipps, all playing their original roles from the current RKO radio picture in an adaptation for suspense, produced and directed by Anton M. Leader. Crossfire.
Robert Young stars as Captain Finlay, Robert Mitchum is Keeley, Robert Ryan is Monty, Sam Levine is Samuels, and Marlo Dwyer is Ginny. With these performances and with Crossfire, we again hope to keep you in
suspense.
My name is Finley, Captain of Detectives, Homicide, Washington, D.C. I was the cop on the case. The call came in at 9:45, a girl. I told her to stay there, and we went up. It was an apartment on E Street, the third floor, number 307. The girl was still there and let us in. The place didn't look too bad, considering. There was a chair knocked over and a lamp and a little liquor slopped around, but aside from that, not bad. Except there was a man lying in the middle of the floor. A man named Joseph Samuels, and he was dead. Beaten to death. No. Take it easy, Miss Lewis.
I'm all right.
Was Samuels drunk when you left him in this bar, Miss Lewis?
No.
Had he been drinking?
Yes, but he was all right.
What was he arguing with the soldier about?
Oh, they weren't arguing, they were just talking. I sent Sammy over to talk to the soldier myself. The kid seemed so upset about something.
Here's the man's wallet, Captain. Found it behind the cushions on the sofa.
Oh, well, let's have it. Corporal Arthur Mitchell. What rank was the soldier, Miss Lewis?
Oh, I didn't notice. I left them.
Where did you go?
I went up to my room. It was the bar in my hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I had a change, so I told Sammy I'd meet him here in his apartment. We had a date for dinner. I rested a while, and then I fell asleep. When I woke up, I phoned the apartment to say I'd be a little late, but there wasn't any answer. I came over as soon as I could find a cab. Then I called you. Do I have to stay here any longer?
No, I'll get somebody to drive you home. O'Hara.
Yes?
Take Miss Lewis home and check in the bar at her hotel.
Will do. Come on, Miss Lewis.
Oh, wait a minute. Take this wallet to the provost marshal's office and see if they can locate this man.
Sure. Well, what do you want?
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have the wrong place.
What place are you looking for?
Well, I thought it was this apartment. I was looking for a buddy of mine. You're cops?
Yeah, we're cops.
Has something happened?
Tell us about your buddy.
Yes, sir. Well, we was here. He left before we did. He wasn't feeling good. He said he'd be right back. And
Who was we?
Me and another buddy of mine.
Who did you come here with?
With these two buddies of mine and this fellow.
What fellow?
This fellow we met in a bar.
Miss Lewis.
Yes.
Soldier, do you recognize this young lady? Come on, did you see this young lady in the bar?
Yes, sir.
Miss Lewis, is this the man who was with Samuels when you left?
No, it was another.
What's it all about?
Come in, soldier, and give a look.
Jeez, that's tough.
Yeah, isn't it? Somebody killed him. Could you identify him? Same fellow you met in the bar?
Yeah, that's him.
What's your name?
Montgomery, sir.
Were you drunk tonight?
Well, I had a couple, but I can handle that.
I see. How long have you been out of the service?
2 weeks about.
Live here?
No, sir.
What are you doing in Washington?
I just came back to see some of my buddies.
Where are you staying?
At the Stewart Hotel. That's where I used to be stationed. I'm sponging a free bunk from one of my buddies.
What's your buddy's name, this one who was sick, the one who was coming back?
Mitchell. Mitch, we call him.
O'Hara, hand me that wallet.
Here you are, sir.
Corporal Arthur Mitchell.
Yeah, that's him.
Ever see this wallet, soldier?
Where did you find it?
In the sofa.
It must have dropped out of his pocket, but believe me, Mitch couldn't.
What's his outfit?
Same as mine was.
What were you in?
Signal Corps detachment. Stewart Hotel.
Well, O'Hara, let's clean it up. Get the coroner up here and give me a full report.
Okay, boss.
Let's go, Montgomery.
Sure, but where are we going?
To headquarters. See what I mean? Routine, just routine. I put a man on to finding this Mitchell, the one who belonged to the wallet, and I talked some more to Montgomery. Nothing. The cooperative type, but nothing. Pretty soon my man came back. He couldn't find Mitchell, but he had his roommate, a guy named Keeley, the uncooperative type.
Here he is, Captain.
Oh, thanks. You Keeley, Sergeant Keeley?
Yeah, I'm Keeley.
I'm sorry to break up your Saturday night game, Sergeant.
You want to see me about something, Captain?
Yes, I want to see you about Mitchell.
What about Mitchell?
About Mitchell killing a guy.
Killing a guy?
You know Mitchell, don't you?
Yeah, but who's he supposed to have killed?
Sit down, Sergeant. We'll
Thanks.
talk about it. When did you see Mitchell last?
This afternoon, 2 o'clock.
Where was he going?
Crawling.
Where?
Nowhere. Soldiers don't have anywhere to go unless you tell them where to go. When they're off duty, they go crawling. Or they go crazy.
What did you do before you got in the Army?
What's that got to do with it?
It might help me understand your answers.
I worked on newspapers.
Oh. What sort of a job are you doing now?
Ink job. Purple ink. Instead of the Purple Heart, we get purple ink.
Mitchell, too?
He's an artist. He used to do cows eating grass. He's branched out now. He does signs. Keep this washroom clean. If you think he killed anybody, you're crazy.
Why?
He's not the type.
Everybody's the type.
He couldn't kill anybody.
Could you?
I have.
Where?
Where you get medals for it.
I see. This Mitchell boy couldn't do that either?
No.
Tell me about this afternoon when Mitchell left.
There isn't anything to tell. He left.
What did you talk to Mrs. Mitchell about?
Why, I just...
Yeah, here it is.
Here, what is?
According to the hotel charge slip, you called Chicago at 2:30 and talked to Mrs. Mitchell. His mother?
His wife. It was personal. It wouldn't interest you.
What did you call Mrs. Mitchell about?
She called me first last week. She was worried about him. He hadn't written.
Why?
I don't know.
Then guess.
He's homesick. His wife's sick. I don't know. Anyway, he's got snakes. He's been nuts, but not nuts enough to kill anybody.
How was he this afternoon?
Oh, he was trying to act like a soldier. I think he went out to look for a girl. What's your name, anyway?
Finley.
Look, Finley, this sort of life doesn't bother some soldiers. I haven't seen my wife for 2 years. When I do, maybe we'll pick right up again. Maybe we won't. But I don't worry about it now. Mitchell's not like that. He's not tough. He needs his wife. I called her this afternoon and told her to hop a plane and come cheer him up. Here's her wire. She's on her way. She'll be here tonight.
That's good.
Still don't know what this is all about. Why'd you pick me up?
You're Mitchell's closest friend, aren't you?
I don't advertise it.
Well, Mitchell's other friend told us about you.
His other friend? Who's that?
Hello.
O'Hara, let's have Montgomery back.
Right away.
Where does Montgomery come in?
He was with Mitchell and a boy named Floyd Bowers this afternoon in a bar. They met a Mr. Samuels there and went up to his apartment. Mitchell left first, but he told Montgomery to be back. We were looking at Samuel's body when Montgomery came back looking for Mitchell.
You're taking Monty's word for all this?
Not entirely. Did you ever see this?
That's Mitch's wallet. How'd you get it?
We found it in Samuel's apartment, down behind the sofa cushions.
Where's Bowers? Did you ask Monty?
Ask him yourself.
Hiya, Keeley. Did you hear all this they're trying to pin on Mitch?
Part of it.
Well, this is serious. They're crucifying the kid. You know Mitch. He won't have a chance.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Captain, I just mean that Mitchell's not the kind of guy who knows the scoop on things like this. He's an artist. He's sensitive.
And you know all about things like this?
Well, sure, like I told you. I've been a cop myself in St. Louis. 4 years in the jungle on the east side. I know the score.
Well, then you can understand my problem, why I need your help.
I'm not helping anybody stick my pal in trouble.
I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking for facts. How did all this get started in the bar with Samuels?
Well, like always. Bunch of people in a bar. Something happens, and first thing you know, you're talking to somebody.
What happened?
Leroy knocked a drink all over this, what'd you say her name was? This Miss Lewis.
You didn't tell me about Leroy.
Oh, he's just a dumb hillbilly. He's a friend of Floyd's. He come in with Floyd, but he didn't stay long.
Go on. Tell me about it.
Well, like I said, we was talking, me and Floyd and Mitch. Only Mitch was getting high and clamming up. I was worried about Mitch. What's eating you, Mitch?
Nothing's eating me.
Come on, man, let's go.
Sit still, Floyd. You don't get to meet people going in and out of one bar after another. Hey, look out, Leroy, that tray.
Oh, my dress.
I'm sorry, lady. I didn't mean to spill.
You silly hillbilly, why don't you watch what you're doing?
That's all right. It was an accident.
A lady with you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure sorry about my buddy.
Oh, that's all right. Here, honey, here's a napkin.
Waiter, give me that towel. Here, miss.
Thanks.
You'll have to forgive Leroy here. Leroy's from Tennessee. He just started wearing shoes. Apologize to the lady, Leroy.
I said I'm sorry.
It was just an accident, soldier.
Leroy's all right. He's just dumb. We won the war with him by not letting him go across. If the Krauts had caught him and...
Hey, Leroy, where you going? I'll see you, Floyd.
Well, now, look there. I hurt Leroy's feelings.
I'd better change. I'll meet you up at your place, Sammy.
Sure. Take your time. Hey, soldier.
Yeah?
Buy you a drink?
Sure, why not?
Over here and sit down.
Well, Captain, this Samuels and Mitch went off to the other end of the bar, and me and Floyd was just sitting there talking. I don't know how long. This Floyd can really talk when he gets started.
Man, what I couldn't do with $1,000.
What would you do with $1,000?
Man, with $1,000, I'd go to Mexico. I'd fish and live on the beach and eat and just
Mexico?
live on that beach.
I've been to Mexico. Them guys down there'd have your $1,000 before you was there a week.
Yeah, not my $1,000, they wouldn't. I'd steal me an air-cooled machine gun and
Hey,
I'd just...
hey, Floyd, look, they're leaving.
Who?
Mitch and his pal. Come on, let's go.
Why do we have to go?
The Jew boy is setting up the drink someplace.
Who?
The Jew boy. The Jew boy. Well, Captain, we followed them to Sammy's place and just walked in. We all had a couple of drinks. Next thing I knew, Mitch was getting a little green, and pretty soon he left. Floyd was getting kind of stinko, too. So after a while, I got him out of there and started walking him back to the Stewart Hotel. But then I got worried about Mitch. So I put Floyd in a cab and went back to look some more for Mitch. And that's when I met you, Captain.
And you came up to Samuel's apartment even though you saw the police cars outside?
Well, how'd I know they had anything to do with Samuels? You're just a bunch of hick cops down there anyway. You'll never pin anything on Mitch. Not in 100 years. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just worried sick about Mitch.
Did you have any sort of an argument with Samuels?
Well, what was there to argue about? Liquor was good. Everything was okay.
Had you ever seen him before?
No, I told you. I just met him in the bar. I never seen him before.
You're sure?
Sure, I'm sure. Of course, I've seen a lot of guys like him.
Meaning what?
Oh, you know. Guys that played it safe during the war. Scrounged around, keeping themselves in civvies. They got swell apartments, swell dames. You know the kind.
No, I'm not sure that I do. Just what kind?
You know. Some of them are named Samuels. Some of them got funnier names.
You'll be at the Stewart?
Sure, I got nowhere else to go. I'm just sponging a bunk from one of the boys. You coming, Keeley?
There are one or two more questions I want to ask Sergeant Keeley.
Well, so long, Captain. If there's anything else, just call on me.
You should look at a casualty list sometime. There are a lot of funny names there, too. I said Monty's illiterate. I said he ought to read more. I was just philosophizing.
I'm not interested in philosophy. I'm trying to solve a murder.
Pardon me.
Mitchell was in a strange mood tonight. You admit that.
Uh-huh.
He left Samuel's apartment intending to come back. We arrive and find Samuel's beaten to death. We find Mitchell's wallet on the sofa. I say Mitchell did come back. Some sort of an argument developed.
I say nuts.
Why? Or don't you think Mitchell would kill Samuels that way?
I don't think Mitchell would kill anybody anyway.
You still don't know where he is?
No, I don't. I didn't know when I came in here, and I haven't suddenly gotten any brighter. You don't believe you did it yourself.
He could have. He was there.
So were Monty and Floyd.
But they left. Mitchell said he was coming back.
According to Monty.
According to Monty.
Monty's a liar. What makes you believe his story?
It just happens to be the only story I've got.
Then why did you let him go?
Did I?
You don't really think he'll lead you to Floyd Bowers, do you?
I don't know.
Is that all for me?
Yeah, I guess so for now.
Okay. You know where to find me. I'm Keeley. You've heard from me already. I was Mitch's friend. And, brother, when I walked out of that smart cop's office, I knew if I didn't find him before the fuzz nabbed him, he was a dead pigeon. When I got back to the hotel, the lobby was so full of cops and MPs they were dancing with each other. So I rounded up a couple of my scouts, told them Mitch was up to his ears in trouble, and I stationed them around the lobby to keep an eye out for him. I also told them to keep on the lookout for Floyd Bowers. He might know something. Then I waited at the counter of the coffee shop where I could see the street from the window. Sure enough, about half an hour, I saw Mitch cutting across the street for the hotel entrance. I managed to get outside and put the snatch on him before the cops knew what I was up to, and 10 minutes later, we were sitting in the balcony of an all-night movie house with nobody around but a few drunks and bums. And I gave him the pitch.
Keeley, I couldn't have killed
But that's
him.
not the point. You've got to have a story for the cops. They've got Monty's, and it sounds pretty, but not for you. I want you to tell me everything you did tonight. How drunk were you?
I don't know. Pretty drunk, I guess.
How long were you with this girl?
Well, I
Oh,
think...
you ought to know. Was it 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours?
I can't remember. My head hurts. I can't remember anything very well.
So it hurts. You've got to remember. You ran into Monty and Leroy and Floyd, didn't you?
Yes.
And you went in the bar with them.
That's right.
Okay, now take it from the bar. Take it slow and remember everything you can.
Well, we were there quite a while, I guess. I got restless and I wanted to shout. I was sick of Monty and I was sick of Floyd. I wanted to be somewhere else. So I drifted off to the other end of the bar, and this fellow Samuels came over and he sat next to me and began to talk. First, I didn't pay much attention. I was feeling so low myself.
My girl is worried about you. She says you're not drinking, but you're getting drunk anyway. Anybody who can do that has got a problem.
So what?
It's a funny thing, isn't it, how it gets worse at night? I think maybe it's suddenly not having a lot of enemies to hate anymore. The war is over. And now we don't know what we're supposed to do. We don't know what's supposed to happen. We're too used to fighting. But we don't know just what to fight. Know what I mean?
I guess so.
You can feel the tension in the air right here in this bar. A lot of fight and hate that doesn't know where to go. A guy like you may start hating himself. One of these days, maybe we'll all stop hating and start liking things again, huh? What sort of an artist are you?
I did a mural once for the WPA.
Oh, a lot of fine artists came from there. I saw one that was about that.
He seemed like a nice fellow, this Samuels. A real nice fellow. I think he must have been on a newspaper or something. We talked a while. Then we decided to go up to his place. He was going to meet his girl there. Monty and Floyd must have followed us because after we got to the apartment, they walked in. I guess I must have been getting pretty tight because I don't remember exactly what we talked about up there or how long it was before Monty and Floyd came. All I remember is that the radio was on, playing some nice music. Debussy, I think. And Monty was yammering away doing most of the talking.
You're doing all right, Floyd. You're doing all right, Mitch, kid. Sammy, let me tell you something. Not many civilians will take a soldier into his house like this for a quiet talk. Is that right, Floyd?
That's right, Monty.
Well, let me tell you something. A guy's afraid to take a soldier into his house, he stinks. He ought to have the screws put to him. Am I right or am I right?
Sergeant, don't you think
I asked you a question, Sammy.
What was that?
You know what was that. Am I right or am I right?
You're right, Sergeant.
You can say that again. You're all right, Sammy boy. You're okay.
Mitch, are you all right?
I'm all right. I just need a little air.
Can I get you anything?
No, I'm all right. I'll be right back. I'm all right.
He's all right. You heard him say he's all right. Let's have another round.
I'm afraid there isn't time, Sergeant.
What kind of a brush is this? What's the matter, Jew boy? Afraid we'll drink up all your
You know how I am, Keeley. I hate to hear anybody yelling at anybody. So I decided not to go back when I got out. The air felt good. I must have started to walk. I don't remember how far or in what direction. But the next thing I knew, I was in a joint called the Red Dragon. I was talking to this girl named Jenny and buying her drinks.
Do I have to tell you my name again? Well, it's Ginny, because I'm from Virginia.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this joint stinks. I sure get tired of it here.
Well, what do you work here for, then?
For laughs, dear, for laughs.
Every night?
Every night. Come on, up with your glass. Here's to nothing.
You work here until when?
Until we close.
Then what?
Then I sleep. Me and myself in my great big bed we sleep. You know, I could have killed my roommate the other morning. She was
You got that in quick, didn't you?
Drink up and be nice.
You know what I'd like to do?
Yeah,
No,
I
no.
know.
I'd like to take you dancing.
Well, that's what that music's for. I work here.
I mean, really take you dancing. The two of us going somewhere, eating something, talking about ourselves.
You're a character.
I'm serious.
Sure, I know. I remind you of your sister.
You remind me of my wife.
Look, be nice. Order some more drinks. Then we'll dance.
I've had enough to drink.
Well, toodaloo.
Wait, Jenny, don't go.
I've got some things to do.
I was looking all over for you, Jenny. What did you leave for?
Well, you didn't want to drink. All you wanted to do was yap. I don't make money on that.
You're not getting so rich out here in the terrace all by yourself.
Well, it's nicer out here on the terrace all by myself.
What's wrong with me anyway?
You're corny.
Well, what did I say? We were just talking.
Is that what that was? You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to take you dancing. You remind me of my wife. What's the idea of saying a thing like that?
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you.
You know something? I haven't really been dancing for almost 2 years.
Why not?
Because I haven't.
Why?
Because I've been working for a living.
What do you do when you're not working for a living?
I live.
How much would you charge to dance with me here?
A lot.
Gee, you're a smooth dancer, Jenny.
You're not so bad yourself.
It's nice out here.
Yeah, you know, this used to be a spaghetti restaurant with tables out here. They don't use the terrace anymore. Say, how would you like me to make you some spaghetti?
You mean here?
Oh, no, silly. Look, I live at the Regal Apartments on Southern Street. You could wait for me. Well, I won't be there for a couple of hours, but you could sleep or something. Here's the key.
Jenny, will you let me kiss you?
Oh, you're nice. Look, I'll try to get away early, but But if you don't want to wait for me, you can just lock the door and put the key in the mailbox.
I'll wait. I guess it was a crazy thing to do, Keeley, but it made sense at the time. Besides, I thought I could use a little shut-eye. So I walked around some more, and then I went up to Jenny's apartment. I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I remember, somebody was knocking on the door.
How about some light?
Sure.
Hasn't she come home yet?
I don't know. I don't think so. You mean Jenny, don't you?
What do you mean?
I guess I mean Jenny. Do you belong here or something?
Or something. How long you been waiting?
I don't know.
That's great. Have a cigarette?
Thanks. I just woke up. I don't even know what time it is. I've got a key here somewhere she gave
I
it.
know. I saw you with her at the joint.
Oh? Who are you?
I'm a man who's waiting for her. Is that all right?
Sure.
Want some coffee?
Sure.
I'm a husband. I'm Jenny's husband.
Are you?
I was a soldier too, but I conked out. Guess you're wondering about this setup, aren't you?
I guess I am.
Well, ask her about it then. She was a tramp when I married her. I didn't know it at first, but I knew it before we were married. It's one of the reasons I enlisted, to get away from her. But I couldn't wait to get out and come back to her. When I did, she didn't want me. Funny, ain't it? But I still want her. I still love her.
How's that coffee doing?
I'll be ready in a minute. You know what I just told you? Well, it's a lie.
I see.
I'm not her husband. I met her the same as you did, the jerk. I can't keep away from her. I want to marry her. She won't have me.
I see.
You believe that? Well, that's a lie, too. I don't love her. I don't want to marry her. She makes good money there. Got any money on you?
While this screwball goes on with his double talk, I suddenly remember you, Keeley, about having to meet you at the hotel at midnight. So I decided to get out of there. I went straight back to the hotel, and the next thing I knew, you were pushing me around and hauling me off to this joint.
Listen, I don't like all-night movie houses any more than you do. But you're in a jam. Now, how long was it from the time you left Samuel's till the time you met this Jenny?
I don't know.
That's a help. How long were you in her apartment altogether?
Well, I think...
You ought to be kept in a cage.
Keeley, what's happened? Is everything suddenly crazy? I don't mean this, I mean everything. Or is it just me?
No, it's not just you. The snakes are loose. Anybody can get them. I got them. But they're friends of mine.
I think Samuel's understood it.
Yeah, maybe he did at that. You still in love with your wife?
I guess I am.
She's still in love with you?
That's a screwy thing to ask.
Well, maybe it is, but she's here now, or she should be. I've got to figure out how much of this to tell her.
Mary? Here? Well, what's she...
Don't worry. She doesn't know anything yet. She was coming anyway.
Why?
To see you. I talked to her this afternoon. Maybe she's here now. She was supposed to be on a plane. You sit tight. I'll go see if I can find her.
Keeley, I couldn't have killed this guy, could I?
Hey, there's Leroy. I wonder what he wants.
Keeley, listen, I found Floyd.
Floyd? Where?
In a room in a place down on Maryland Street where he's hiding out. He just phoned me and tried to raise some dough for something. He sounded awful scared.
You get the address?
I don't want to have nothing to do with this. I shouldn't have told you. I don't want to get in any trouble, Keeley.
You won't get in trouble. All you have to do is tell us where Floyd is. Then you can go back to the hotel and stay there and forget it. And you, Mitch, you just keep right on watching the picture and don't move. Don't even move to another seat. You want Leroy to bring you a sandwich or something?
No. But, Keeley, where are you going?
I'm going to see Floyd Bowers. I didn't have any trouble finding Floyd. He was just where Leroy said he was. A crummy little room on the second floor. And he was scared to death. And wanting to get rid of me the worst way. Why? I didn't know then. I talked to him for quite a while, but I couldn't get a thing out of him. Well, I didn't have all night to waste either, so after 15 or 20 minutes, I got up to leave.
Well, thanks for dropping around, Keeley.
It's okay. You sure you haven't got anything on your mind?
No, not a thing, Keeley.
Oh, I'll be seeing you.
Sure. Sure. So long, Keeley.
Night, Floyd. I went on out and down the stairs. I couldn't figure it out. Of course I couldn't. Because what I didn't know was that all the time I'd been in that room, Monty had been there too. After I left, he was still there.
It's okay, Monty. He's gone now.
I know he's gone.
Monty, I didn't call Keeley up here.
No?
Oh, Monty, don't!
Told you not to go out anywhere, Floyd. You went out, Floyd. You didn't do like I said. You went out and got in touch with Keeley. You shouldn't have done that.
No, I didn't, Monty. I didn't get in touch with Keeley. I called Leroy. Leroy must have told him. Try money, Monty. All I did was try to get some dough. Now, look, you got plenty of dough, Monty. Give me some dough.
I had everything figured out. Just what we was going to do. I told you to stay here. You went out and phoned. You spoiled everything.
I didn't, Monty. I didn't spoil nothing. I told Keeley I hadn't seen you. You heard me say that. Nobody can pin anything on you.
That's right, Floyd. Nobody can pin anything on me.
Oh, now look, Monty. I'll go to Mexico. I'll never come back. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I don't want to get mixed up in it, Monty. Criminy, Monty. You went crazy or something. Samuels didn't do nothing to you. You went crazy.
I didn't do nothing to Samuels either. Except I flicked him like that. Not that hard, maybe. More like that. Or that. Or that. Not hard enough to hurt anybody.
Stop it, Monty! Monty, stop it, you went nuts! I've got nothing against any Jews.
I just don't like Jews. And I don't like nobody who likes Jews.
In tonight's full hour of suspense, our stars are Robert Young as Captain Findlay, Robert Mitchum, Robert Ryan, and Sam Levine in Crossfire. Tonight's study in Suspense. In just a moment, we will return with Act Two of Suspense.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And now, back to our Hollywood soundstage and Act Two of Crossfire, starring Robert Young, Robert Mitchum, Robert Ryan, and Sam Levine, with George Cooper, William Phipps, and Marlo Dwyer, in a narrative well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Like I said before, I'm just a cop. By this time, I was a tired cop, dog-tired. I'd been doing a lot of work for the last 6 hours, most of it leading nowhere, because still no Mitchell. But by this time, I had Mrs. Mitchell right in my office. And figuring maybe she might be anxious to see her husband, too, I asked O'Hara to locate that helpful character, Keeley.
Okay.
And bring him in.
Right. Why, here's Sergeant Keeley, Captain. Come on in, Sergeant. Captain Finley was just sending me out to find you.
I've been waiting to see him.
Hello, Keeley.
Mary, what are you doing here?
We picked up Mrs. Mitchell at the airport.
Oh, well, what do you want me for?
Floyd Bowers is dead, Sergeant.
Dead? He was alive a couple of hours ago. I just saw him.
Well, when I saw him about 20 minutes ago, he was good and dead, strung up by the necktie.
I just came here, Captain, to tell you I'd talked to Floyd.
If you'd come here right away, Sergeant, as soon as you found out where Floyd was, I could have talked to him myself, and he'd still be alive.
You win, Captain.
Now, don't you think you'd better tell me where Mitchell is, Sergeant?
Why?
I don't want anybody else killed if I can help it. Might as well work with me now if you really want to help Mitchell, because you're in custody, in case you didn't know it. I'll listen to anything constructive you have to say, but I won't stand for any more interference.
You've got a mind like a dog catcher. Okay, I'm in custody. Everybody's in custody. What does that prove? Except that you've got a big jail. You want Mitchell so bad you can go out and find him.
All right, I was just hoping there was an easier way.
I talked to Mitchell a little while ago.
Where is he?
I said I talked to Mitchell, Captain. He couldn't have killed Samuels. He didn't go back to Samuels' apartment after he went out for some air. He went straight to a joint where he met a girl.
Oh, Keeley.
Take it easy, Mary. Mitch was in this girl's apartment for the next couple of hours.
What does that prove?
It proves he went to a joint and he met a girl. Would a man who's just killed somebody do a thing like that? Sorry, Mary. And it proves where he was for 2 hours.
Which 2 hours?
He doesn't remember. But all you have to do is ask the girl.
Who's she?
She's a girl. She calls herself Ginny. Mitch knows where she lives.
When did he tell you all of this?
Just before I went to see Floyd.
Did he know where you were going?
Yeah?
Then he could have killed Floyd himself.
He didn't know the address.
He could have followed you.
Captain Finley, if Keeley tells you where Mitch is, will you let him go? And will you promise to let me see Mitch first, by myself?
No, I won't let Keeley go. But I'll let you talk to your husband alone. I'll be waiting outside, wherever he is.
Please tell him, Keeley. Please.
He's in the balcony of an all-night movie, The Regent, about 4 blocks from the hotel.
I took Mrs. Mitchell to the Regent Theater and waited downstairs by the popcorn machine while she had her private talk with her husband. I don't know what they said to each other, but it wasn't hard to imagine. A guy and his wife separated for 4 years, and then Sacco, this deal. But you could tell from the way they looked at each other when they came out that whatever came between them from now on, it wasn't going to be that other girl. I put Mitchell in the squad car with O'Hara, and then Mrs. Mitchell and I went on to pay our call. Mitchell had given his wife the address, Regal Apartment, Southern Street, the name Ginny.
Captain Finley,
Yes, Mrs. Mitchell.
can I go in and talk to Ginny first? I mean, go in alone.
Why?
Well, she might tell me more than she'd tell you.
All right, I see the transom's open. I guess I won't miss anything.
What is it?
Ginny,
Well, who's there?
I'm Mrs. Mitchell.
Great. How's Mr. Mitchell?
My husband
Look,
is so...
what do you want anyway? It's late.
I'm sorry. I wanted to talk to a girl named Ginny. My husband's a soldier who was here tonight.
Well, there aren't any soldiers here now. Just me. I don't have anything to do with soldiers. Sorry. Good night.
Please wait, please. I've got to talk to you. It's terribly important. I know it's late, but you've got to help me. Can't I come in for just a minute? Please.
Oh, all right.
My husband's in trouble.
Look, I don't know anything about your husband. Honest, why don't you go home? Maybe he's waiting for you.
He's in jail. They say he killed a man, but he didn't.
Okay, then there isn't any problem. What do you want from me anyway? A character reference?
All I want you to do is to say that he was with you tonight.
Tonight's a long time ago. I wouldn't be able to remember.
You'd remember Mitch.
Why? Does he have 2 heads or something?
You danced with him. You danced with him out in back of where you work, in a sort of a terrace garden. You gave him your key and you told him your address.
He told you that he was up here with me tonight?
Yes, he...
Well, he lied to you. If he was here, I didn't know about it. And I don't know where you got my name and address. I can't tell you anything else. You better go now.
Hello, Ginny.
Who are you? What do you want?
I want to talk to you. What's your name?
Are you a cop or something?
What's your name?
I don't like cops.
Nobody likes cops. What's your name?
Virginia Tremaine. Why?
Where are you from?
From here?
Before you were from here.
Pennsylvania. Wilkes-Barre. So what?
What do you do?
I work.
Where?
The Red Dragon. Well, what's wrong about working there? Does that make me a criminal or something? Does that give you the right to bust into my house and start asking a lot of questions?
Is that where you met Mitchell at the Red Dragon?
That's where I meet a lot of people. I never heard of this Mitchell.
You live here alone?
Sure. Is there something wrong in that?
Ginny, the police won't hurt you. He promised me. All we want you to do is to tell the truth.
Sit down, Virginia. Now, about Mrs. Mitchell's husband. He's in pretty deep, Virginia. Looks like he killed a man, maybe 2. Mrs. Mitchell doesn't think he did, of course, but that's only natural.
Ginny, don't you see? I know he was here. He told me. But that doesn't matter anymore. Never mind me. You've got to think of him.
Oh, brother. Listen to that. Never mind me. You've got to think of him. Oh, now, isn't that sweet? Isn't that just too sweet? He wasn't here with me, see? He could have been, but he wasn't. He could have come up. I could have cooked him something and we could have talked. And what would have been wrong with that? What's the matter with me being with her precious husband? Does he break or something? Where was she? Okay. Where were you when he needed you? Maybe you were someplace having beautiful thoughts. Well, I wasn't. I was in a stinking gin mill where all he had to do to see me was walk in, sit down at a table, and buy me a drink. And that's all I know about it. I didn't ask him if he killed anybody.
Virginia, listen. You're not involved in this murder, so nothing's going to happen to you. That's the first point. Got it?
You bet I got it.
Okay, now, what time? What time was Mitchell with you at the Red Dragon?
I don't know.
We found the body of this man, this Samuels, about 10. He'd only been dead about a half hour. So if Mitchell was with you from, say, 9 to 10, he's all right. Tell me the truth.
No.
Oh, no.
I gave him my key. I don't know, maybe 8:30. I liked him. I felt sorry for him. I was sick of the stinking joint. I was going to ditch early, only I couldn't. I didn't get home until 1, or maybe 2. He wasn't here. He had been here, and he'd gone. He left the key. But I don't know what time.
Jenny, is that the truth?
I said it's the truth. What do you want me to do? Light up like a Christmas tree?
We're wasting our time, Mrs. Mitchell. This isn't going to help your husband. Let's go. By the time I got to my office, it was dawn. Gray and dirty, which is how I felt. Plus disgusted. Mitchell and I were going around in circles.
I didn't murder anybody. Why would I murder him? What motive would I have?
Maybe you didn't like him. Maybe you hated him. Hate's a good motive.
Why would I hate him? I hardly knew him. I only talked to him for a couple of hours. He seemed like a nice guy.
You know he was a Jew?
No.
Mean to say you didn't know he was Jewish?
No. I didn't think about it. Well, what would that have to do with it?
Got Montgomery for you. Yeah, all right. I'll see him in a minute. I'm through here with Mitchell, but I want to talk to Keeley again.
Okay, boy. That door, Mitchell, over there.
Okay.
Here are the papers you wanted from the War Department on Samuels.
Oh, yeah.
Hit on Okinawa. Got a medical discharge last summer.
Well, let's give a look. Samuels Joseph, ASN 392-32880, Army of the United States. Joseph Samuels was discharged 28 August 1945 upon recommendation of a medical board because of disability from wounds received at Okinawa. So that's our stinking civilian. All right, O'Hara, let's have money.
Okay. Come on in, Monty.
Okay. You want to see me, Captain? I figured it must be important. I want to help all I can.
Yeah, sit down, son.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant, how did you know Samuels hadn't been in the Army?
Huh?
When I talked to you early this evening, you were sure that Samuels had never been in uniform. How did you know that?
Well, like I said, you could tell. You could see. Those kind of guys got ways of keeping themselves from getting dirty. Why do you ask that, Captain?
I was just curious.
You know who killed him yet?
Yes, I think I do.
Was that all, Captain? Didn't you want to ask me something else?
No, that's all.
I can go now?
Yes.
Okay, then, Captain.
Oh, Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
You haven't seen anything of this friend of yours, that Floyd Bowers, have you?
No, sir, I haven't. I can't figure
well,
out...
let me know when you do, will you?
Yes, sir. So long, sir.
O'Hara, send Keeley in.
Well, now what?
You look all in, Keeley.
Thanks for the concern.
Sunday morning. Mrs. Finley is just about leaving for early mass.
Now that I know that, can I go back to bed? Well, what's the matter? Thought you were going to have this all solved by now. I'm in a cage. I'm not doing anything except breathing. You've got Mitchell. You've got your little fairy tale all written. Drunk, trouble at home, can't tell a clear story. Open and shut. What's holding you back?
Is that all?
That's all.
All right, then. You really want to help me wind this up?
Thought you didn't like me.
You talk too much sometimes.
Oh, you're appealing to my better side.
Yes.
Making me some sort of a proposition?
Yes.
I'd like to sleep on it.
You can sleep all day when we're finished.
Okay, then.
You usually have to know something about a man to have a reason to kill him, don't you, Keeley?
Yeah, I guess so.
You have to know him well enough to be in love with his wife, or well enough to know he has some money.
Mm-hmm.
Samuels didn't have any money. He didn't even have a wife.
So what?
So this. None of these men knew that or anything else about Samuels. They hadn't known him well enough or long enough to have an ordinary motive for killing him. Mitchell talked to him for maybe an hour, the others less. So it had to be something else. A motive inside the killer himself.
Go on.
The killer had to be someone who could hate Samuels without knowing him, who could hate him enough to kill him, under the right circumstances, not for any real reason, but mistakenly and ignorantly.
You interest me, Captain.
Well, once I figured that out, the rest wasn't too hard. I looked around at my suspects. I thought back over the answers I'd had tonight. Some of them fit. I knew who killed Samuels.
You booked him?
No, not yet. I'm taking the chance that you're smart enough to know what I'm talking
You
about.
don't have to draw me pictures. I know what you're getting at. I think you're right. What do you want me to do?
Yes, I've nothing on Montgomery, nothing at all. I might never get anything. I want to take a long chance on nailing him quick. How well do you know him?
Well, I've tried to like him, but he's not my type.
Does he have many close friends?
He had one, Bowers. I think he killed him.
So do I. What about that other southern boy, Leroy?
No, I don't think so. He was in Monty's platoon. But
Just how do you think he feels about Monty?
You're getting ahead of me.
Well, I was hoping he didn't like Monty.
I think he's scared to death of him.
Is he really as dumb as Monty says?
Well, he's pretty young. He doesn't always know which end is up.
Monty doesn't think he's smart enough to lie. What if Leroy told Monty a fantastic story? Would Monty believe him?
Yeah, he might.
I'll risk it. Hal?
Yes, sir?
Keeley's on his way out. I don't want to see anything in the papers about Floyd Bowers' killing. Not a word. As far as we know, he's still alive. We've never heard of him.
Will do, Chief.
Keeley, I want you to get Leroy out of the Stewart Hotel without being seen and bring him here. Can you do it?
If I have to sandbag him.
In an hour on the nose, Keeley was back at headquarters with Leroy. But it wasn't going to be easy. Leroy was suspicious and he was scared.
It isn't that I don't want to help, Captain. It's... Well, I've never been around with Monty and Floyd much. Monty never wanted me around. He says I'm stupid. I guess I am. Sir, how do you know he really killed him like you say?
We don't. That's what we want you to help us prove.
Keeley, I told you I didn't want to get in any
You're
trouble.
not going to get in any trouble, and stop worrying about Monty. Captain Finley won't let anything happen to you.
Maybe you're right, sir. But I can't think he'd do a thing like that without no reason.
We thought he had a reason. You know the way Monty feels. You've heard the things he says.
Well, yes, I guess I heard him say a couple of times about Jewish people living off the fat of the land while he was out there. And you say that's all lies. And I guess it is. I don't know, but look, maybe Monty roughed this guy up a little, and that was all.
That was all he started out to do, yes. He didn't have a plan or anything like that. This business of hating Jews comes in a lot of different sizes. There's the you can't join our country club kind, and the you can't live around here kind. Yes, and the you can't work here kind. Because we stand for all of these, we get Monty's kind. He's just one guy. We don't get him very often, but he grows out of all the rest. Look, Leroy, you know we have a law against carrying a gun?
Sure.
We have that law because a gun is dangerous. Well, hate, Monty's kind of hate, is like a gun. If you carry it around with you, it can go off and kill somebody. It killed Samuels last night.
Monty was in my outfit.
It killed Floyd.
I hate to think of anything like that happening to Floyd. And I hate to see Monty get away with anything. But look, I'm getting out soon. I might get in trouble. And I don't see this as any of my business anyway.
Has Monty ever made fun of your accent?
Well, sure, lots of times.
Why?
I don't know.
He calls you a hillbilly, doesn't he? Says you're dumb. He laughs at you because you're from Tennessee. He's never even been in Tennessee. Ignorant men are afraid of things they don't understand. They end up hating them.
You get me all mixed up. How do I know what you're trying to do? How do I know you aren't a Jewish person yourself or something?
You don't? But would it make any difference?
I guess not.
Well, all right, Leroy, but just one more thing, then you can go if you want to. About 100 years ago in Ireland, the potato crop failed. A lot of Irish immigrants came over here. Their talk was different, like yours, Leroy. They were Catholics, most of them. One of them I knew about stayed in Boston. He thought of himself as just another American, until suddenly one day he looked around and saw that something had happened. It frightened him. Fear and hatred of all Irish Catholics had developed and spread like a terrible disease. He saw he wasn't an American anymore. He was a dirty Irish Mick. He didn't understand. He didn't know what to do. But one day, when a bunch of men attacked his parish priest on the street, he waded in to help him. That night, on the way home from work, he stopped off for a beer. When he left the bar, 2 men followed him carrying empty whiskey bottles. They didn't mean to kill him. They were just going to rough him up a little. They just started out hating, the way Monty started out. But 20 minutes later, my grandfather was dead.
Your grandfather?
That's history, Leroy. They don't teach it in school, but it's real American history just the same. Thomas Finley was killed in 1848 just because he was an Irishman and a Catholic. And last night, Joseph Samuels was killed just because he was a Jew. Do you see any difference, Leroy? Hating is always the same, always senseless. One day it kills Irish Catholics, the next day Jews. It's hard to stop. It can end up killing men who wear striped neckties. Or people from Tennessee.
Will you tell me exactly what to say?
Yep, I'll tell you exactly what to say. If it would work at all, I knew it would be just the same as if I'd been listening in on them. I already knew what Leroy was going to say, and I thought I'd sized up Montgomery well enough by this time to figure him out, too. Leroy cornered him in the hotel washroom while he was shaving.
Hiya, Monty.
Hiya.
You heard about everything that happened, Monty?
Uh-huh.
I heard they got Keeley and Mitchell and they're holding him. I guess it's a good thing I left the bar when I did, or I'd be mixed up in it, too. Floyd didn't have anything to do with it, did he, Monty?
Knock it off.
What's the matter, Monty? Monty, no kidding. Floyd couldn't have done it, could he? Floyd wouldn't bump anybody off, would he?
I don't know.
He sure acted funny when I saw him last night.
When did you see him?
I saw him after.
After what?
After all that happened. He wants to see you, Monty. He asked me to tell you he wanted to see you.
He did?
Honest, Monty, I didn't know whether I ought to tell you or not. You don't want to get mixed up in anything anymore than you are, but he was acting crazy, Monty. He gave me a crazy thing to tell you. He said, tell Monty the necktie wasn't any good. What do you mean by that, Monty?
What was this you saw, Floyd, Leroy? How did you happen to see him?
He called me and asked me to come over to where he was.
Where was he?
Some old place down on Maryland Street, on the 2nd floor. Let's see, I wrote down the address. What'd I do with it? It was on a little piece of paper. Must be in my other pocket. Gosh, Monty, Floyd was really acting crazy. He said you shouldn't come today. He said to come tonight before 10. Well, here it is. 404 Maryland Avenue.
That's it. Huh?
Will you go see Floyd, Monty? Will you give him some money?
I wouldn't say anything about this if I was you, Leroy. Understand? I wouldn't say a word. To anyone.
It was a long shot, but what else could I do? O'Hara and I went down to the Maryland Avenue place and waited. We'd been waiting about 20 minutes when we heard steps on the stairs. They stopped on the landing, then started shuffling along the hall. They stopped again outside the door. Somebody was fumbling at the doorknob. Then the door opened. It was Montgomery. Hello, Montgomery.
Well, I was looking for Floyd Bauer's room. Somebody said he was here.
Well, that's too bad, Sergeant. Floyd was here, but he isn't anymore.
Well, what's wrong? Has something happened, Captain?
Bowers is dead.
Dead?
He was killed today.
You know who killed him?
Not yet. How did you know he was here? When I talked to you last night, you didn't know where he was.
Oh, I didn't then. I didn't know then where he was. A fellow back at the hotel, he told me Floyd was here, and Floyd was scared, and he wanted to see me about something. I just come. I didn't even know which room it was. I was looking for the right room. He was knocked off in this room.
Mm-hmm.
The same guy who knocked off Samuels, maybe.
It could be.
I liked Floyd, Captain. I liked Floyd a lot. I naturally came to help him. This fella said he needed some dough for something.
No, you should have come right away.
Well, this fella said, Floyd said not till tonight. I figured if Floyd said that, he must have got a reason.
I see. Well, it looks like somebody was stringing you along.
Yeah.
What was this fellow's name, the one who told you Floyd wanted to see you?
Look, Captain, I don't want to be a pigeon, this guy.
What was his name?
Leroy something. He was a friend of Floyd's. Maybe you remember me mentioning him.
Yeah. You, never been to this house before?
No. I never been here before. I never even been in this part of town. I didn't know which room it was, except it was on the second floor. Like Leroy said, I was looking for the right door.
Seems like you have a lot of trouble with doors, Sergeant. First time we met, you were looking for the right door.
That's right, sir.
But you knew the address. You knew which house to come to.
Sure. Leroy, give me the address.
Was it written down on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
You still have this piece of paper?
Yeah, I guess so. Here it is.
Let me see it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to arrest you, Montgomery.
Why would you arrest me, Captain? What would you arrest me for?
For the murder of Samuels and Bowers.
You're kidding, Captain. I never even been here before. Why,
You didn't look at this paper carefully. This is the address of the house next door. I wrote it down myself. You made a mistake, Sergeant. You came to the right house anyway.
Gee, Captain, you got this all wrong. Just let me explain. You see?
Look out, Chief! The next thing I knew, I was on the floor and O'Hara on top of me. Montgomery hit him so hard he bowled me over like a 10-pin. Then O'Hara was up and going down the stairs after him, and I was over at the window in time to see him come out onto the street. I tried to get the window up, but it wouldn't budge. I smashed the glass with the butt of my gun, then I took aim. Montgomery! Stop! Montgomery! That was all. By the time I got down to the street, Montgomery was dead. A crowd was gathering, and Keeley was standing there looking down at what lay in the street and sort of shaking his head.
Break it up now. Break it up. Step back, everybody.
I'm afraid he was a bad boy.
Bad? Maybe. Ignorant. Fed with it. Fed to the teeth with it from the day he was born.
Yeah.
All right, O'Hara, clean it up.
Okay, Captain.
How's Mitch?
With his wife. Want to see him?
Oh, I guess not.
Gonna drop you anywhere?
No, thanks. Well, good night, Captain.
Good night, Sergeant. And, good luck. Our sincere thanks to a wonderful cast. To Robert Young, who was Captain Finley, Robert Mitchum in the role of Keeley, Robert Ryan, who played Monty, and to Sam Levine as Samuels. To George Cooper as Mitchell, and William Phipps as Leroy. To Marlo Dwyer as Ginny, Julie Bennett as Mary, Bill Johnstone as O'Hara, Bill Lally as Floyd, and Louis Van Rooten as the man. Our thanks for your superb performances in this suspense adaptation of Crossfire.
Robert Young may currently be seen in Relentless. Robert Mitchum will soon be seen in the RKO radio picture Rachel and the Stranger. Robert Ryan will soon appear in Berlin Express, and George Cooper in Blood on the Moon, both RKO radio productions. Sam Levine's next picture is the Babe Ruth story. Crossfire, based on the original novel The Brick Foxhole by Richard Brooks, was adapted for Suspense by Robert L. Richards and Henriette Martin, and was produced and directed by Anton M. Leader. Lud Gluskin is our musical director and conductor, and Lucian Marowek composes the original scores for radio's outstanding theater of thrills, 1 hour of
Suspense.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Suspense. Radio's outstanding theater of thrills brings you an hour, a full 60 minutes of suspense. Tonight, our star, Mr. Edmund O'Brien. Our story, The Blindspot, by Lois Eby and John C. Fleming. A suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader. It sometimes happens with men and institutions who deal only in facts, formulae, and the cold logic of scientific deduction. They often underestimate or overlook the unpredictability of the human element. They may covet reason and disregard instinct and emotion. Tonight, against the background of Rogers International Research Institute, pulse of the nation's opinions, we meet Eric Strange, Leland Rogers, Mona Bartlett, and Gregory Rome in a dramatic combination of logic and fear. And now, with the performance of Edmund O'Brien as Eric and with The Blindspot, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
Each of us has a blind spot. Some have many. Blank walls in our minds or memory or opinion. Walls which we cannot penetrate, and so we're held back. Or because we can't or won't understand, we try to draw away from the world, run from it, because the blind spot has made us afraid. I started writing books about this during the war. Maybe you've read or heard about them. Blind Spots by Eric Strange. Well, whether you have or haven't, there's little bearing on what I'm about to tell you. I mention it simply by way of introduction, not to myself, but to fear. Yes, it was the blind spot of fear in the mind and heart of Leland Rogers that led to... Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Perhaps it's best that you meet Leland Rogers and see him as I did that day when I went to his suite in the Park Central Hotel to settle a business matter. It wasn't our first meeting, but in a way it seemed to be. For as I pressed the buzzer and the door opened, I found myself looking at a different Leland Rogers, a man completely changed for me by his look of sheer terror.
Strange. Eric Strange. How do you know where to find...
Your secretary, Mr. Rogers, she said...
Mona? She had no right to tell you where
Bartlett is worried about you. So is your partner, the whole staff. You know, Rogers, when you first approached me as a possible client, I was invited into your office, offered cigars, a drink.
I'm sorry, Strange. Come in.
Thank you. Never did like to hold a conference in a hotel hallway.
But there's to be no conference. Understand, Strange. I thought I made it clear we can't handle the survey for you.
Now, I suppose if I suggested that Rogers International Research could be sued for breach of contract, I might not be offered a chair.
You have grounds for a suit, of course. Sit down.
Thanks. Much better. Now, Rogers, what's it all about? Why did you really call things off?
It's exactly like I told you on the phone, Eric. No mystery about it. Albert LeBlanc, our European supervisor, was killed yesterday in a crash at Le Bourget Airport.
Too bad for the supervisor.
His organization of our overseas offices was a one-man miracle. That was a mistake, of course. Won't happen again. But in the meantime...
The survey on my book is impossible.
Quite.
Well,
Your partner, Jim Carr, now...
Yes, he doesn't agree, I know, but Carr isn't running that end of the business, Strange. He shouldn't have even been talking to you.
He just happened into the office while I was with your secretary. He seemed quite upset.
Yes, he's always upset, but whatever he had to say means nothing.
I suppose not. But he was enthused over the plans you people had.
Yes, he's always enthused. However, in this case, I was myself. You know that.
Yes. That's what confuses me, Rogers. You seem so anxious to establish the validity of the book's premise.
I believe in that premise, Mr. Strange. I believe every word of your book, Blindspots. I agree that the American has the highest natural demand for freedom and guards that freedom with unequaled personal responsibility for national welfare.
The survey could have proved that belief.
I know.
Or proved it to be wrong. You know, in that event, had we discovered my premise to be arrogant assumption, I intended that this would be the last edition of Blindspots.
I understood your intention.
People without freedom are happier without facts.
Yes. However, Mr. Strange, under the circumstances, with my organization powerless to conduct an immediate survey, I don't see what use there is...
Sit down, Mr. Rogers.
What?
I said sit down. Or better still, fix us both a drink. Because I'm not leaving.
Now, see here, Strange, you're wasting your time. I've told you it's all off. I've given you a good reason. You can take your business to Universal Surveys or sue me for breach of contract. I don't care.
I care, Rogers. I want to know who threatened you.
Threatened?
I should have warned you months ago. Threats would be a nuisance item you'd have to figure on with my survey.
There have been no threats. None at all.
I think there have. I've been threatened regularly since the first edition of Blindspots. First by radicals who call the book reactionary, then by reactionaries who suggest I'm proposing revolution.
There have been no threats. No threats, Strange. It's simply that my key man, LeBlanc, in our Foreign Office
is at this very moment as alive as either one of us.
What? What are you saying?
What you've been saying is more important. A call came in while I was at your office. Miss Bartlett took it. It was from LeBlanc.
You let me lie, Strange.
Yes, because it made you feel easier. It might make it easier for me to discover what kind of fear you're living with.
This doesn't change anything. We're not handling the survey with or without a reason.
Nothing helps your kind of fear but action, Rogers. If it's a free-for-all, I'd like to get in. Would you care to fix those drinks? Tell me about it?
Strange. Were you ever so afraid? It was like leprosy. You felt your mind, your body rotting away.
Once, sitting on the ground, during a war that sometimes seems like it didn't happen. There was a length of barbed wire in front of me. Day after day, night after night. One day I tried to walk through the wire. They pulled me off, and I tried again. And again. After that, I had some kind of fever. Now it's your turn.
I'll get the drinks. I'll need one telling you this. You might need one listening.
Very interesting, Rogers. All of it. And where is this little black book?
Right here.
Looks harmless enough.
Lots of people carry them.
You just use it for memoranda?
That's right. Dates, places, stray ideas I want to jot down.
Mm-hmm. Certainly nothing unusual about that.
But the last 4 pages of the book, take a look, Strange. Read those last 4 pages.
Just one line to a page.
That's right.
And not one of them
seems to make any sense. Now you know why my partner, my doctor, even my secretary are beginning to guess.
I don't understand. Why did you write these things?
Would you say that I did write them?
The handwriting's the same. Or a very clever imitation.
Exactly. I wrote all the previous pages. Those last 4 I didn't.
Oh, perhaps you only...
Oh, no, I didn't write them and forget them. After the first 2 entries, I mentioned this to Dr. Whitehurst. He explained it. Said I'd had the book on my bed table and wrote it in my sleep.
That would be my guess, too.
And quite possible, except that after that I left the book at the office. The other 2 messages I found on different afternoons during the last few days. I didn't write them.
Perhaps it's the work of a practical joker. Someone...
Oh, no, Strange. I have other aberrations, too. They began soon after the first message in the book.
Such as?
I hear the telephone ring.
Well?
There's no one on the wire. I answered doorbells. There's no one at the door. One night I woke with a spotlight in my face. No one was in the room.
You found the 3rd message yesterday?
Yes. And called you that our deal was off. You're lucky, actually. How would it be for your survey to have it come out later that the head of the research organization was off his rocker?
Not good, but I...
Not good. Let's leave it at that, Strange.
Wait a minute. This weather report clipped to the last page, you found it this way?
This way.
Well, the report says generally clear with rising temperature, and the entry, it will still be gloomy when you go home. Funny. The combination mean anything to you?
Yes, it means something to me. It means I'm going to die tonight.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Is it? The writer of these notes would be a superstitious person, Strange. Today is the 13th. I don't make sense, do I?
No, you don't.
Delusions. Good night.
You have no idea who the writer of the messages might be.
I know who it is. He's in my office, and he has every reason to kill me. But I don't know how to identify him. If I did, I might not be afraid.
Mm-hmm. Blind spots again. Yeah. They're with us all.
Yes, I suppose so. Look, Strange, I've told you more than I intended to. Now, get out of here, will you? You've got a lot at stake in that poll of yours, and...
You know, maybe I figure there are things even more important than 4-nation polls. People. Their troubles. People like you, Leland Rogers, a man who was once strong enough to build a great organization from nothing.
Will you get out?
You've got to fight, Leland, and I'll help you. There's nothing I like better.
Good Lord, Strange, didn't you hear me? I said get out!
Why?
If I wanted a bodyguard, I'd hire one.
You've done it. And for free.
This is my own mess. Why do you want to get yourself into it?
I don't. Never do. Look, this is strictly business. Tonight, I bodyguard for you. Tomorrow, you throw away that little black book in the ash can and go on with my survey.
I don't know what to say.
You're sure you can't identify this man?
The Burnham Detective Agency in New York is working on it for me. If I can break through this fog, maybe I can give them more to go on.
Blind spot in your memory?
Something like that.
Maybe if you told me the whole story, it might show up.
It might. Only well, it...
Embarrassing, huh?
It's a long story.
Well, we have a long evening on our hands. It's only 7:30.
7:30.
You had to be somewhere?
Oh, no. Look, Strange. Eric.
That's better.
I've decided that I can trust you.
Thanks.
I think I'll take a shower, climb into a robe. Then I'll tell you...
The works?
Everything, yes.
Go ahead with your shower. I'll wait. He went into the other room to change. I could hear him moving around. Then, a few minutes later, he turned on the water in the shower. I couldn't help feeling sorry for him, the way he seemed to be dodging shadows. He'd been in there about 10 minutes when the phone rang on the desk. Shall I get it, Leland? He didn't seem to hear me. I wasn't sure if he'd want me taking his calls, but I took a chance. Hello?
Mr. Strange?
Yes?
This is the desk clerk. I have a message for you.
For me?
Yes, sir. Mr. Rogers asked me to tell you he was called out on an appointment.
But Mr. Rogers is right here. He
said he'd be back to finish that story, Mr. Strange. Meantime, sir, he wants you to turn off the shower.
The shower. All right, clerk. I'll take care of it. Leland Rogers had given me the slip. I didn't know how long he'd be, but curiosity and an unusual interest in this unusual man held me right there in his hotel suite. I turned off one shower, turned on another with the seltzer water in the liquor cabinet. That, together with a few magazines and some interesting pen sketches on the wall, kept me occupied for some 2.5 hours. Then I thought I heard Rogers at the door. It wasn't locked, and I sat back waiting for him to come in. He didn't, but someone else did. A very expensive-looking young lady with ash blonde hair, the right amount of jewelry, and, from the average male viewpoint, the right dress. She entered the room slowly, then acted almost as frightened as Rogers had when she caught sight of me.
Oh.
Good evening.
Who are you?
Oh, let's just say a friend of Leland Rogers.
You're Eric Strange. I've seen your picture in the papers.
All right, I'm Eric Strange. And you're?
Well,
a friend of Leland Rogers.
Yes. He, isn't here?
I'm expecting him any minute.
Oh. Well, I'd better not wait.
Perhaps, I'd better not wait.
No, really. Mr. Rogers didn't even know I was coming. I'm sure he'd be furious if I've interrupted anything. You see, he wasn't really...
I'm taking calls tonight. Excuse me. Yes?
Mr. Strange?
Speaking.
This is Lieutenant Mannix, homicide.
Homicide? Yes, Lieutenant.
I was just checking, and the desk clerk tells me you'd been with Mr. Rogers part of the evening.
Oh, yes, I have. He stepped out a while ago. I expect him back soon.
Don't. He won't be.
Oh?
I'm calling from his office, Mr. Strange. Leland Rogers is dead.
Rogers? Dead?
Oh, no.
When did it happen, Lieutenant? How?
About an hour ago, watchman found him making his rounds. Single shot did the job. Will you come over or shall
I'll leave right away.
Good.
What is it?
Our mutual friend, Leland Rogers, was shot to death. Happened in his office. I'm going over there. You'd better come with me.
No, I can't do that.
Why not?
Well, I can't get mixed up in anything like this.
Maybe you already are, Miss...
Milner. Gerald Milner. Listen, Mr. Strange, you must believe me. I only met Mr. Rogers once before.
How do I know that wasn't an hour ago in his office?
Well, I haven't been out of the hotel. We live here, too. We have the suite on the floor above.
We?
My husband and I.
Oh. I see.
And he wouldn't like this. He wouldn't understand.
I guess not. Have you been up there with him for the past few hours?
No, I was alone.
Well, then how do I know that you...
Oh, it's easy to prove that I didn't go out. Just check room service. I've sent down for things all evening. I was bored.
That I believe.
Oh, please, Mr. Strange, now you won't implicate me.
I'll, check with room service. Police Lieutenant John Mannix was a very efficient gentleman. When I pulled up at the downtown office of Rogers International Research, a lone police car was parked at the curb. I learned that the others, including an ambulance and Rogers' own car, had already been driven off. My cab rolled in behind the police car. I got out, paid the driver, and entered the building. They were expecting me. My elevator boy on the trip up was a heavy-set sergeant. He took me straight to Leland Rogers' office. Mannix had made a few other calls. Rogers' partner, Jim Carr, was there, together with an older man whom Mannix immediately introduced.
Mr. Strange, Mr. Fogarty.
How are you?
You've met Jim Carr.
That's right.
Oh, yes, we've met.
Mr. Fogarty is more or less a silent partner in the firm, but under the circumstances...
I'm only silent so I can listen better, Lieutenant. I know what's going on. Know all about Strange, his survey, how Leland felt about it.
Did you know he wanted to call it off?
What?
That's the way it was, Mr. Fogarty.
Changed his mind all of a sudden. I tried to talk him out of it, but...
He wouldn't listen.
No, he was very determined.
I don't understand. I don't understand at all.
Either of you know any reason why he would have come down here tonight?
Pure impulsiveness, maybe. He's the worker, Lieutenant. Lived for this office, this business.
We all do, Mr. Fogarty.
I suppose.
He had been actually, usually lately, worried, like he had things on his mind.
Leland always had things on his mind.
But he did behave oddly, Lieutenant. We've been worried about him.
Yeah?
And the rest have. I haven't. What are you getting at, Lieutenant? Suicide?
Right. Unless one of you might be able to suggest an enemy.
Leland had no enemies. Everybody loved the boy.
I wouldn't go that far, Mr.
Here now, Carr. The man's dead. Don't you say anything.
Gentlemen, I believe there's something I should tell you.
Huh?
Go ahead, Strange. Unless I'm mistaken, you were the last person to see Rogers alive.
You are mistaken, Lieutenant.
Huh?
There was a hotel clerk, and if this wasn't a suicide, there was also his murderer.
I stand corrected.
Thank you. Now I'll tell my little story, or rather, Leland Rogers' story.
That's all there is to it, Strange.
Isn't that enough, Lieutenant? The man was terrified.
Poppycock, Mr. Strange. Leland was never terrified by anything.
That isn't quite true, Mr. Fogarty. I told you he'd been acting odd.
He was carrying no little black book when we found him.
Well, naturally, a murderer wouldn't leave it to the mercies of a handwriting expert.
But you saw this book?
I saw it.
There could be the simple explanation that Rogers had some sort of a lopsided idea that he didn't want his death to look like suicide.
Could be.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I've been in the business a long time, Strange.
I've been writing about people for a long time, Lieutenant. I think I know when a man shows genuine fear.
And, of course, you have the added advantage of being the last man to see him.
Me, yes, and the hotel clerk.
Lieutenant.
Yes, Mr. Carr?
I saw that book myself many times.
Huh?
Rogers always carried it. His idea book. Jotted down ideas he got at odd times.
Strange, can you recall the wording of those unusual messages?
I think so. There were 4 of them, one to a page. The first was, "At dawn, the sun casts long shadows."
Huh?
Go on. The other 3.
The horse lost a shoe while our bells were still ringing. And the third was, "Turn down the Blindspot's pole." And the last, "It will still be gloomy when you go home." There was a weather report attached to that one.
It's nonsense.
Nutty as a fruitcake. Hey, you know, Lieutenant, we all tried to get Leland to take a vacation. His secretary, Dr. Whitehurst...
I didn't have any idea it was this bad, Carr. Why didn't he know he was cracking up? Sell out before...
Before he made the rest of us go broke?
Lieutenant, there won't be a lot of fuss made over this, will there? A research group can't stand a lot of notoriety, you know. If you would see your way clear to keep things as quiet as possible...
And let the police get the notoriety?
I didn't mean that.
I'm afraid we'll have to face the fact that the lieutenant isn't hired to keep things quiet, gentlemen. He's here to try and discover why Leland Rogers is dead tonight instead of alive.
Check. Maybe I can even pull a murder out of this and get myself a raise. One more thing. Where do I get hold of Rogers' relatives?
He has none that I know of. I'll give you his secretary's address. She was the closest to him. Oh, Lord. All the organization needs now is some relative popping in and trying to take over.
You through with us, Lieutenant?
For the present, Mr. Fuller.
Then I'll say good evening. Coming, Carr?
I'll ride with you, if I may.
Yeah. They seem more upset over themselves than their partner.
They do have a lot to lose, Lieutenant.
That story Rogers told you. What do you think now? No known enemies? No relatives?
Carr and Rogers had very opposite views on how to run the business.
What do you mean? Carr?
Just thinking.
How do you figure this Fogarty?
Seems like a nice old gent.
Yeah, so did Bluebeard. Well, fine time of night to be waking up a young lady from her beauty sleep, but I'm going to talk to that secretary. Do you want to come along, Strange?
So you can keep an eye on me?
I didn't say that.
No. Matter of fact, I'm bursting to go. If you hadn't asked, I might have been over there so fast I'd have answered her door for you.
Yeah, that sounds like a man almost fast enough to be here tonight and back at that hotel in time to answer my phone call.
Why don't you check with room service?
I might. What's so funny?
Oh, nothing, Lieutenant. Nothing at all. Let's go call on Miss Mona Bartlett. Mannix was all right. I found that out as we drove across town. He was just a hard-working fellow, anxious to do his job and do it well. I liked him, but I didn't share his growing theory that this was a simple case of suicide. We reached Mona Bartlett's apartment after climbing a steep flight of terracotta steps to a handkerchief-sized landing. Almost immediately, we heard the soft slap of moccasins coming in response to our ring. I almost didn't remember her when she opened the door. In white robe and slippers, her hair hanging to her shoulders, she was slight, childlike, a totally different creature from the formidable, efficient office guardian of the late Leland Rogers.
Come in, please. Jim Carr called me. Told me what happened. Oh, I'm sorry. Do sit down.
Thank you.
Sorry to disturb you.
Disturbed me.
Here, Miss Bartlett, you sit down.
I'm sorry, but when Jim called, I felt like I was in the middle of a bad dream. I kept thinking it. But now, with you coming here...
Jim must have told you Lieutenant Mannix wants to contact the next of kin. He thought that you...
I really can't help you much there. Mr. Rogers wrote to no relatives. Mentioned none to my knowledge.
Yeah, he was a lone wolf. Maybe in his room or in a safety deposit box there'll be something. Oh, one more thing. Do you know of any business appointment he had tonight?
No, I don't. Could have been meeting any one of the 80 people in the office.
Do you know of any man in the office that he might have been afraid of meeting?
No. Then there were the hundreds of past and present clients of the concern. Look, I'll give you the key to my desk, Lieutenant. You can check our appointment books.
Thanks. Don't think I'll find anything, but you never know.
Wasn't there a doctor you wanted to talk to, Mannix?
Dr. Whitehurst?
Yeah, that's the name.
It's Hilldale 7757.
I'll try. Well, that's about all, Miss Bartlett. Unless, of course, you know of any enemies he had.
No.
You had no idea he was contemplating suicide, eh? What is it, Miss Bartlett?
I should have known that.
What?
Well, there was an assignment paper. He dictated it to me about a week ago. Said it was confidential.
What was it all about?
His voting shares of stock in the company. He assigned them to Jim Carr.
Oh?
I remember he said this would be until a certain situation was cleared up.
You had no idea what that situation was?
No.
Carr knew about the assignment?
Oh, he still doesn't. It's in Mr. Rogers' safety deposit box. He said that no one, not even Mr. Carr, must know.
Well, he'll know now, all right.
Yes, he will.
Say, how did those two get along?
They had different ideas, but they complemented one another. Both knew it. The company meant everything. To both of them.
Okay, thanks, Miss Bartlett. See you tomorrow.
Oh,
Are you all right?
I will be. Could you stay for a few minutes?
Of course. Go ahead, Mannix. I'll get in touch with you.
You won't have to, Strange. We're always around.
You'll find the liquor in the cupboard above the sink.
And?
And Jim Carr wanted you to call him back. After Mannix left, if possible.
Know what he wants?
I can guess. He never approved of calling off the survey on your book.
That's my guess, too. I'll sleep on it. Call him in the morning.
Whatever you say. I feel like a fool going to pieces like this. Really, I'm not a goofy stenog in love with her boss.
You should have been. He seemed like a lot of man.
Oh, he was. A powerhouse. He was the heart and soul of that business. They'll all be lost without him. I'll be lost. Oh. Oh, if I'd only told someone about that assignment.
Oh,
if I'd
now,
only...
please, take it easy. That's the bad part about a thing like this. Everybody thinks about what they might have done. Chances are, Miss Bartlett, there wasn't any way you or anyone could have stopped him.
Do you believe that?
Yes. She buried her face on my shoulder. I could smell the fragrance of her skin, feel the convulsive movement as she cried it out. She stayed there until her breath grew even again, peaceful, her taut body relaxed. Then abruptly, she pulled away from me, stood up.
I want to call Greg.
Greg?
Greg Rome. He's one of our research workers. Mr. Rogers thought a lot of him.
Oh, of course.
Thank you very much, Mr. Strange.
Not at all.
Do you want me to call a taxi for you?
No, I'll walk. Good night, Mona.
Good night, Eric. Operator? I want to put in a call to San Francisco for Greg Rome at the Wilkins Hotel. That's right. Greg Rome.
I went down the stairs wondering if I wasn't being a little foolish about the whole matter. I tried to tell myself that I ought to tab that story of Rogers for what it probably was and accept Mannix's ideas about the case. I guess I just about decided that way as I came out of the building and stepped off the curb. That's when I heard the car come roaring around the corner behind me.
Look out! What are you doing? You'll run me down!
In tonight's full hour of suspense, Edmund O'Brien stars as Eric in The Blindspot, adapted for radio by Joel Malone. Tonight's study in Suspense. In just a moment, we will return with Act Two of Suspense.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And now, back to our Hollywood soundstage and Act Two of The Blindspot, starring Edmund O'Brien. Eric Strange has known fear. And this night he has seen the brilliant mind of Leland Rogers overpowered by fear. A fear that has cost his life. Now it is Eric's life that is in danger. This man, whose business it is to deal in facts, has been driven by instinct and intuition to dismiss the verdict of suicide against his friend Leland Rogers in favor of murder. And this course has led him into the path of a swerving automobile. And now, with Edmund O'Brien as Eric, and with Act Two of The Blindspot, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
Time was irrelevant. Seconds, minutes, hours. But when the first bright thread of consciousness broke through the pattern of darkness, I had the feeling that I hadn't been knocked out for long. The damp night air chilled me as I lay sprawled on the sidewalk. I got up slowly, wondering why I was still alive. I discovered one thing for sure. Someone had wanted me out of the way badly enough to risk his own neck in jumping his car over an 18-inch curbing. Around the corner where the car must have been parked, waiting for me, I found something else. 3 cigarette stubs. One was still warm. I jumped like a jackrabbit at what I thought was my friend coming back. It was just a cruising cab. I must have looked pretty frightening to the driver.
You all right, buddy?
Yes. Yeah, great. Take me to the Park Central Hotel, will you?
The Park Central? Hey, look, when I see guys picking up cigarette butts, I don't
Here. I got plenty of money here. Now, get going.
Yeah, get going. I'm going all right. Going nuts.
Mr. Strange, why, you've been hurt.
You ought to see the other car. Look, I was going to stay here with Leland Rogers.
Oh, yes, sir. We'll give you the room next to his suite. The police are up there now.
Oh? Lieutenant Mannix, is he
He's
up?
having Mr. Rogers' rooms locked up. The boy will take you up, Mr. Strange, and if you want anything...
Just ring?
Yes, sir.
What happened, Strange? Try to kiss her?
Yes. Yes, the angel of death. And I don't mean Miss Bartlett. Lieutenant, when I came out of the building, somebody tried to run me down.
Well, hit-and-run drivers. They're bad out here.
You're too logical, Lieutenant. I could grow to hate you. I tell you, the man was waiting for me. I found cigarette stubs. One was still warm.
It'll be cold before you can get into court as evidence. Let's say a hit-and-run driver, huh?
I'm not talking to you anymore. Find anything next door?
Not a thing. And Mac just called from headquarters. Only fingerprints on Rogers' gun were his own. Want to say somebody wore gloves?
Okay, I'm too knocked out to argue.
I'll run along, Eric. You better get yourself some sleep, and maybe tomorrow...
Yes?
You'll decide that I know what I'm talking about.
Maybe I've already decided.
I doubt it. You're the stubborn type.
Think so?
Definitely.
Well, I'm forgetting all about the cases of right now. Oh. That must have been a Cadillac. A big one.
Sorry I accused you of playing post office.
It's all right. Night. Post office. Post office. Maybe that's it. Come on.
Switchboard.
Get me the post office. I want to speak to the postmaster.
Huh? Are you kidding? It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Huh? Oh. Sorry. Sense of time never was too good. I'll try him a little later. The post office hunch was a wild one, but I followed it through. I was there bright and early talking to the supervisor.
Would you repeat that request, Mr. Strange?
Certainly. Now, I
want a list of people who've applied for post-box rentals in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
I hate to turn you down, Mr. Strange. I know about your work for the State Department, but what the devil do you want with those names?
Well, a friend of mine was corresponding with the Burnham Detective Agency in New York. Now, I don't think he would have wanted his correspondence to go through his office.
We couldn't open any letters, you know.
I know, but there probably aren't any. I just want to know if he rented a box. Look, I checked with Henley upstairs.
Oh, well, that's different. Why didn't you say so? Let's have a look here. Last 2 weeks, eh? Only one name. Lance Martin. Box 208.
Lance Martin. Perhaps he... Look, I'll be back. You've been a big help. Thanks a lot.
Hey, where do you think you're going?
I'm terribly sorry. I'm in a hurry.
You certainly are.
Yes, I have to make a New York call. The call was to Pete Starr, my agent, a man who'd do anything for me for 10%. I asked him to check somehow with the Burnham Detective Agency, see if they were working for a Lance Martin in Beverly Hills, post office box number 208. All I could do was wait on that. So I made another call, then headed down to the research office to keep an appointment with Jim Carr. He'd taken over, but good. He was sitting in Roger's chair, dictating furiously when I walked in.
And if this emergency division of authority between the board members and myself results in a more balanced and scientific control of our IR, I see no reason why the system should not be made permanent. Didn't hear you come in, Strange.
Sorry if I interrupted. Miss Bartlett said...
Oh, it's all right. Sit down. Type that much up right away, Miss Atkins.
Yes, sir.
I caught that last paragraph about your dividing control.
It's a method I've always advocated.
It's an excellent time to install it after that assignment of Roger Stark.
Yes. Strange, you don't suppose that assignment might cause anybody to wonder...
Have they any cause to?
I shouldn't have mentioned it. Strange, I hope you never know what it feels like to kill a man.
What?
These pills I have to feed myself. For ulcers, nerves, everything in the book. I'm killing myself, Strange, slowly but surely. Oh, this business.
Mr. Carr, I'd better ease one of your worries right now. We'll go ahead with my survey. When can you start?
Why, right away, Strange, immediately. I'll start things humming. There'll be 700 men out asking questions about your book within 24 hours.
Fine. I'll be at the hotel if you have to check on anything. I'm expecting a long-distance call.
Very good, and thank you, Mr. Strange. Thank you very much. Be assured that that will do a job for you.
Crossing the hotel lobby toward the desk, I happened to glance into the cocktail room. I saw a familiar reflection in one of the big mirrors in back of the bar. In fact, two familiar reflections. I went in, sat down beside Mona Bartlett.
Mr. Strange. Hello.
Hi.
Eric Strange, Gregory Rowe.
How are you, sir?
Hello, Greg just got in from San Francisco about 20 minutes ago.
Really? Well, he must do it with mirrors.
What?
We ran into each other in the post office this morning.
The post office?
Oh, you must be mistaken.
I must be, yeah. You're a lucky girl, Mona. If anything should happen to this boyfriend, you've got his exact twin to turn to. All you have to do is find him.
Just a mix-up, Strange. Chances are the fellow was...
Doesn't even look like you're sure. Probably smokes a different brand of cigarettes, too.
Just what are you getting at, Strange?
Sorry, I'm always suffering from blind spots. Have to dash, Mona. Expecting a call.
But Eric...
I rode up in the elevator, wondering vaguely where Greg Rome fitted into the picture. and just what time he had arrived from San Francisco. But I didn't have long to think about it. They'd given me the room next to Leland Rogers' suite. It was supposed to be locked up on police order, but I could hear someone moving around in there. I went out on the balcony, found that it connected with his. A few moments later, I was looking through a pair of French doors at a pair of legs. They belonged to Cheryl Milner. She saw me, almost passed out, and changed her mind and came over to let me in.
Eric, what are you doing here?
Well, that's a funny question, Cheryl, but I haven't time to laugh. What's the idea?
The idea? Oh. Well, I lost a ring when I was here with you, and I thought I'd better get it back. My husband wouldn't.
Wouldn't understand, I know. Where's the ring?
Right here.
Then you're through looking around. Better get out the way you got in. Just how did you get in?
The bell captain. I
Bribed him.
Yes. They're so obliging here, so understanding when a lady's in distress.
So's room service.
I don't know what you mean, Eric. Oh, really, darling?
Skip it. Don't you see what this can do to your alibi?
Oh, I never thought.
I'm not so sure that... My call. Look, you better get out of here. I'll talk to you later.
Please do.
Go on, go on. Hello?
Hello, Eric. This is Pete.
Pete! Did you get what I wanted?
Yeah, I think so. Burnham Detective Agency has been corresponding with a Lance Martin in Beverly Hills. I got a girlfriend in their file room.
Uh-huh. The power of a woman.
Here's the dope now. Martin's been after them to trace his ex-wife, Aline Martin. In the agency's first report, they found that she died in an asylum for the insane 10 years ago, brought there by the police.
I see. Wonder if Rogers was ever married.
What?
Nothing. Keep talking.
A letter in her purse asked that she be treated right. It was signed by her son, Darrell Martin. There's no trace of the boy before or since.
Pete, I think we've hit it. Her son, Roger's son, he'd be grown up now. It's the man he was afraid of.
The name's Martin, Eric, not Rogers.
It's all right. That could have been a maiden name, don't you see?
No, I don't. What's it all about, Eric?
Haven't time. Write your book about it later. If he deserted them, left them, what a motive. Huh? Oh, coming. Mona, I thought you were...
I have to see you, Eric. I made an excuse.
Sure. Come on in.
I haven't long, but I had to know what you were driving at downstairs. About Greg, I mean.
Meeting him in the post office this morning?
You didn't, of course. I met his plane, Eric.
Why are you protecting him? In love with the guy?
I don't know. I've known him ever since college.
I guess
he's always sort of depended on me.
Uh-huh. Big fella like that? I should think that
you don't know him, Eric. He's been hurt, inside, I mean, by things that have happened.
What kind of things?
Eric, Greg once killed a man.
Killed a man?
Oh, it wasn't his fault. It was an accident. But please, I didn't come here to tell you about that.
Then why did you come here?
Eric, I like you very much. I wish you'd give this up. Accept Lieutenant Mannix's theory before...
Before what, Mona?
Oh, I don't know. I have a feeling that something might happen.
It almost did. I tangled with a hit-and-run driver when I left your place.
What?
It's all right. Mannix says pedestrians are on their own in this town. But, Mona...
Yes?
Won't you tell me when Greg really got back in town?
I've told you all I'm going to.
How old is Greg?
About 26. But...
Where are his folks? Have you ever met them?
No, I never have.
You won't tell me any more about his accident. Where'd you two go to school?
San Carlos College. That seems like such a long time ago.
Stop it, will you? How do you think you make me feel? I'm 35. Positively ancient.
Eric, you will get out of this. Leave Greg alone.
I'm sorry, Mona. I want to be very sure about the guy you marry.
I didn't say I...
No, but he's a habit, and I'll bet he said it.
Yes. He wants me to marry him right away.
Don't. Please, Mona, just give me a couple of days, maybe less.
I have to get back down. He'll wonder what...
You won't promise?
I can't, Eric. I'm too mixed up.
Come here.
What?
I'd mix you up a little more.
Eric, why?
Maybe to confuse you enough to wait. Maybe a lot of other reasons, Mona. We'll talk about it when I get back.
Where are you going?
Right now? To college. Dean Spear at San Carlos College was a man who lived by a routine. It didn't include sudden, unannounced visitors. And after my long flight up there, it appeared that I might not get to see him. A lady came to my rescue again. The dean's housekeeper. She's read my books. Didn't like them, but thought all writers were romantic figures. She said she had a plan. She disappeared. A few minutes later, the dean came ambling out of his study.
Hey, Mr. Strange. You're the author of Blindspot, eh?
That's right, sir.
Have a chair, have a chair.
Thank you.
May I commend you, young man? You have the rare gift of making facts plausible. Even our freshmen read you.
Oh, thank you, Dean.
My housekeeper, Mrs. Wilkins, tells me you're considering a post in our economic department.
Oh?
That woman always does things the hard way. Didn't she think I'd talk to the author of Blindspots?
She doesn't like the book, sir.
Yeah, she's stupid. Kind and harmless, though. So, what did you have in mind, Mr. Strange?
An ex-student of yours. Gregory Rome.
What about Rome?
Well, I'm going to Greece, you see, for the State Department. I'm picking up 2 assistants. Rome's name was suggested. Now, if you could add your recommendation...
I can't. I suggest you contact Rogers International Research. He works for them.
Well, naturally, I had Leland Rogers on my list, but since his violent death...
Violent death?
Well, I thought suicide came under that category. In any case, since I can't ask him, I thought perhaps the man who must have suggested Rome for the job in the first place...
I didn't suggest him. If anyone did, it was our honor student here, Mona Bartlett.
Then you refuse to put in a word for Rome?
I resent your asking it. I resent your forcing me to blight a man's career. Rome may have fought his way successfully out of a bad beginning, but confound it, Strange. After our experience with him here,
There was an accident of some sort that
I don't mean that. That was during a wrestling match. Rome killed his opponent. The athletic board dismissed it.
Oh.
Blamed it on inexperience, the result of imperfect wrestling technique. I'm sure he was blameless in that instance. Might have happened to anybody.
But there was something else.
There was indeed. A shocking, premeditated act of violence.
That's why you reacted so to Leland Rogers' suicide.
It is. To be explicit, Strange, we expelled Rome for something just short of murder.
Go on.
On a certain spring evening during his junior year, Rome waylaid and brutally beat his professor of public opinion measurement, left the man a mass of bruises, lacerations, and a concussion. We found him only just in time.
What motive did he have for the
But
attack?
that's exactly the point. He had none whatsoever. He told a preposterous story of the professor making improper advances toward Rome's fiancée, a charge described as ridiculous by the girl as well as by the professor.
I see. Well, why didn't the professor prefer charges?
He had no wish to bring notoriety on either the school or his family.
What about Rome's parents? Couldn't they shed any light on his actions?
As I recall, the boy was an orphan.
I see. Say, he didn't have any grandparents, did he? Name of Martin?
I see no reason to pursue the matter further, Mrs. Strange. I do not recall names. And I have no intention of doing anything at all that might help Gregory Rome into a position of trust. Good night, sir.
And that was that. The dean went back to his routine, and I headed back for the airport. I'd had to lie, but I'd learned plenty about the past of Gregory Rome, and it wasn't pretty. Flying down the coast, I felt as if I was trying to push that plane to greater speed. My mind, my heart, my body were all tensed and driving it forward with the terrible realization that Mona Bartlett might, at that moment, be with this madman, might even be deciding to marry him. It was all clear now. Rogers, knowing there was a son somewhere, a boy he'd never seen, hadn't even known about when he left the mother to be committed to an asylum. When he learned it, realized from those notes that it was someone in his own office, the fear had hit him. I didn't blame him for being afraid. But I shuddered thinking about Mona. The way she'd somehow believed in Greg all these years, championed him, remained faithful in spite of everything. I had to get back. I had to get back.
Look, mister, we're in town. If you want this hack to go any faster, drive it yourself.
It's all right. It's deserted out
I
here.
don't care.
Well, look, turn left at the end of the block. Her apartment's right around the corner. Say, the car in front. Stop right behind it.
Okay.
He's here. Hey, that's the car.
Huh?
That's the car that hit me.
Say, what are you talking about?
Never mind. Look, driver, here's $10 for you. Now pick up Lieutenant Mannix, Homicide Division, Police Headquarters. Bring him here on the double.
Oh, mister, take it from me. Don't go mixing with the police.
Tell him.
And look, go up there and talk it over with a peaceable, and then you
Just say blind spots. He'll come. Now go on.
Okay.
I turned towards the apartment, started inside. It wasn't easy, but I had to, realizing Mona was up there with him. As I went up the steps, my head kept spinning with a jumble of things I'd heard about the man I was about to face. A madman, an ex-wrestler who'd killed one of his opponents. I wondered how his next opponent would make out. Hello, Greg.
Hello.
I want to see Mona.
You want to see Mona? Sure you do, you post office Johnny. All the men would like to see Mona. Glad you're here, Strange. Glad you went to San Carlos. Now you know what's coming. Look,
Greg, not here. If we go over the stair rail.
Here, try to drag her into it. Huh? Just because she had a date with him that night. I won't let...
Greg, stop it! Stop it! Leave him alone!
Oh, Mona, I can stop it. Oh, Mona, you shot me. Mona.
I'm right here, Eric.
Oh.
Eric, I'm sorry. I was trying to...
I know. Where's...
He's still out. He struck his head on the stairs when you hit him.
Did you call the police?
No. Eric, please. He suffered enough.
You know who he is.
He told me tonight. That horrible childhood. Can't you see why he had to make Roger suffer as he'd seen his mother suffer?
I'm sorry for him, Mona, but we've got to turn him in. He's a homicidal maniac. Come on, help me to the phone.
No, Eric, no. Listen, we'll have to put him away ourselves, quietly. This is no time to drag this thing through the courts.
Why? Why isn't it the time?
Your survey, darling.
Huh?
A murder trial now with everything coming out. Eric, you've got to think of yourself. You have to go on being a success.
Like Rogers?
Greg was right. I'm very fond of you, Eric. Please, for my sake, don't call the police.
Mona, don't you realize what you're saying? We can't decide this thing. You're talking crazy. That's when it hit me. Greg's words suddenly came bouncing back, words that changed everything, wiped away the last blind spot.
Try to drag her into it just because she had a date with him that night.
Mona, you. Darryl Martin. A girl's name. Your name.
I gave you a chance, Eric. I could have fired again.
It wasn't an accident. You meant to hit me, then you lost your nerve.
I love you, Eric. I really do. Now, I'm asking you to play this my way. Will you?
No.
Then I'm glad I won't have to shoot you again, Eric. You're bleeding badly. Very badly. That should do it. I won't have to.
Greg, he was just a foil, someone to...
To help me?
Yes.
Yes. And it fooled Rogers. Greg was an orphan, the right age. And after his wrestling accident, he was shaken. I kept him that way.
Oh, it's crazy, rotten.
And that professor, I goaded him into that. He was so jealous of me, Eric.
That poor fool. He didn't have a chance.
What about me? My mother? Did we have a chance?
But Mona, to destroy the lives of others.
To get to Leland Rogers? I'd do it all over again, every step.
Those entries in his book.
Effective, too, weren't they, Eric? You know? They almost drove him out of his mind.
But why me?
You wouldn't stop. I begged you to. Remember?
And this was to look like Greg's doings.
Still can. It's his gun. And if you're not alive to challenge me...
Oh, Lord. Lord, Mona, please. Get compresses. Stop the blood.
No, Eric. I won't have to shoot you again. I'm so glad.
He's coming around now, Lieutenant.
You thank heaven. The guy can't go out on me. I owe him too many apologies.
Can I talk to him, Dr. Whitehurst?
Now, take it easy, all of you. Mr. Strange, this is Dr. Whitehurst. You're in a hospital.
Huh? Hospital? Where? Mona, what about...
She's dead, Eric. Shot herself when we pulled up in front.
Oh.
Did a funny thing, though. She called the emergency hospital for you.
No.
Sometime. Talks young Greg here into a jealous rage and gets him to try to run you down, shoot you herself, changes her mind, saves your life.
I guess it's a woman's privilege to change her mind.
Yeah. By the way, Eric, what about young Greg here? What do you want us to do?
Oh. Hello, Greg.
Mr. Stranger.
She had quite a hold on you, didn't she?
Yes, I didn't know what I was doing. I was so much in love.
You'll get over it. And don't feel too bad. I had the same blind spot.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Strange.
Hey, Dr. Whitehurst, could the patient possibly take a phone call? They say it's urgent.
I don't know. How do you feel, Strange?
All right.
I'll plug in right here. Hold the receiver for you.
Thanks. Hello.
Mr. Strange?
Yes?
Cheryl Milner.
Hi.
Hi, yourself. Goodness, darling, what have they done to you? How long am I going to be in that horrible old hospital? I'm just dying to see you again. I'm bored, darling.
Yeah, I'll bet. And I'm tired, honey. Too tired. I'm afraid you better call room service.
Thank you, Edmund O'Brien, for a magnificent performance as Eric. And to Jeff Corey, Bruce Cameron, Francis Cheney, Paul McVeigh, Ralph Moody, Bud Whittam, Martha Shaw, and Bill Lally, our thanks for your fine support. Next week, for Suspense, the lives of three persons cross in an atmosphere fraught with the fears of a doting mother. The story title holds the premise of our play. It is aptly called Life Ends at Midnight. So join us next week, then, when, with Life Ends at Midnight, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
Mr. O'Brien may soon be seen in the Universal International production, Another Part of the Forest. The Blind Spot by Lois Eby and John C. Fleming was adapted for radio by Joel Malone and was produced and directed by Anton M. Leader. Lud Gluskin is our musical director and conductor. Lucien Marowak and Rene Garrigank composed the original scores. Listen again next week for Life Ends at Midnight on radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. In this weather, most of us have a yen to get out into the country. Well, this year, enjoy it. Don't destroy it. Forest fires do destroy miles of countryside every year. And 9 out of 10 forest fires are man-set, started through carelessness. That's another way of saying that 9 out of 10 forest fires could have been prevented. When you go into the country this spring and summer, take a few simple precautions. Crush out cigar, cigarette, and pipe embers. Snap matches in half after using. Drown campfire, stir the ashes, and then drown them again. And before you start a fire anywhere for any purpose, find out what the law about fires is in that locality. Don't you be one of the guilty ones to turn the destructive rampage of fire loose in our forests this spring. Be careful and help avoid forest fires. This is CBS, where 99 million people gather every week, the Columbia Broadcasting System.